This episode of Reasonably Spontaneous Conversation is brought to you in part by Clay Boykin Life and Business Coaching, because we all get stuck at times. For more information, visit clayboykin.com. By Janelli Bean, for fun and engaging children's books with cute and colorful characters. For more information, visit janellibean.com. And by Wise Owl Organizing, simply set up for you. Organizing consulting and clarity coaching, virtual or in person. For more information, visit wiseowlorganizing.com.
Troy, I need to go back all the way. Your journey. Where did you grow up? Where were you in your formative years when music first touched you? Because I know your father was a musician, according to the pre-production that Renee sent me. So tell me a little bit about that and your introduction. Where were you? Were you in a two-parent household, in a single household? Were you upper, middle, lower class? What was the story? Paint the picture.
Yeah, two-parent household. My mom and dad and two brothers. We've lived here in Douglasville my entire life. I was born in Savannah, but we moved here very soon after that. And I grew up in a different place, and then we stayed there for a couple years, I think, when I was really young, and then we moved here into this house.
Yeah.
And my dad was always playing gigs and going out and teaching lessons and repairing instruments, and that's all he ever talked about. So it was a big part of our lives too. The music scene in Atlanta, that had a big influence on me and shaped my childhood. Mars Music too. He worked there repairing instruments, and
wow.
I think he just repaired. I don't think he taught any lessons there, but
Mars Music, is this all right? First of all, let's ground this in time. What years were these?
I think this was around like probably from 2009 to 2013.
Okay, so we are post millennial. We're post 2000. The towers and all this, and we're well into the internet. And you're learning. How old are you today?
Actually, that's a mistake. It was even earlier than that. It was before 2001, because that was when the Twin Towers got hit. Right. So I was in the 8th grade. I'm 33 now.
You're 33 now. I'm 74. So that gives us a context about where we are along the journeys. So you're 33. And so you were born in when?
89.
So you're born in 89. So this is right before the internet. And so music, where is music in the 90s? And what are you hearing? What's both, not just your father, who has a lot of influences. Do I understand that, like from the Beatles, and he has a lot of classic and classic rock
Classical
influences?
And jazz were his two things. He liked the Beatles, but mainly just because of their voices. His favorite stuff was jazz and jazz fusion artists, and the classical composers, I think more so from the Romantic era, the Impressionist era, like Debussy and Ravel. People like that were like the records that I still have from his collection, or some of those people.
And did they begin to influence you too? I mean, were you able to hear? Because that's the thing that I'm trying to understand about music. You have to understand, I'm outside the music. I'm music adjacent, rather than one of those people who's immersed in music. Right. So in my life, what I'm thinking is that in literature or television, whatever, it doesn't matter the genre. Within the genre, there are great stuff. There's great stuff in hip hop. There's great stuff, and you can find that wonderful stuff that is within that. So were you able to carry that and begin to do that as you're developing in your music?
Yeah, definitely. With as far as classical, it was strange though. Like at first, I didn't really respond to classical because it was kind of dry sounding, with all the organic instruments, and also kind of related it to school. Like they would put it on when they wanted you to know that you're in trouble in the cafeteria. or even just like they would just do it just sometimes just for background noise. But especially when you did something wrong, they put it on just to give you some something to reflect with. And so I didn't really like it at first, and then I found this record in my dad's collection by this Japanese guy named Tamita, and he played the Moog synthesizers and covered classical pieces on those to give it like a space edge to it. And he even did the Star Wars theme on one of his albums. And I got into Claude Debussy's stuff because all of his Tamita stuff was covers, and the album that I had was all Claude Debussy. And Claire de Lune in particular had all of it, but that song in particular, I was just blown away with this guy's recreation of it. And that's what got me into classical, because I got so into Tamita. I downloaded all of his albums at the library, and I was obsessed for years and years. And then finally I was like, I need something else, and there's no more Tamita. So I started listening to the original or modern recreations, but in the symphonic form of Ravel and Debussy and John Cage and all those great composers. Chopin, I got really, especially Chopin and Brahms, I got really into all that stuff. And as far as jazz, his
and jazz
favorite,
also. So jazz began to influence you too.
yeah, it was Weather Report all the way. That band was incredible, and it was them and Return to Forever and Mahavishnu Orchestra and Chick Corea. Yeah, those and my dad was so proud of the fact that I could understand it, which is understandable because most kids, would reject it and be like, "Oh, this is corny. This is overly
I mean, really,
ambitious."
Dad. I mean, come
Yeah.
on.
Why don't you put on some Tupac
Yeah,
so we can sit
hey,
back here in
what you
the
doing here, old man? Yeah. Okay, yeah.
old man music? Yeah, but I got it right away. When I
Oh,
heard
cool.
the popular music in school and in middle school, I was like, man, what the hell is this? This stuff has no soul at all. There's nothing about it that I can learn from that's going to do anything good for my life. It's just self-indulgent and obnoxious, and everyone loves it. And why am I such an alien? Why am I the only one here? I always identified as an old soul because I'd hang around old people all the time. It's my dad and his friends.
Yeah.
I didn't really have any young friends of my own. And when I finally got them, that's when all the trouble started.
And yeah. And the interesting thing is that, so how did you react to this drug, testosterone, that began flowing through your brain and, like 11 and 12 and this, because it just fucked me up. I'm telling you, it was people talk about doing drugs. Well, that was the first one.
Oh yeah, it's the worst one.
Is a badass drug.
Yeah. Around 12 or 13, that's when the old man puberty came and kicked my ass, and it was all downhill from there.
I'm telling you, it had it. Now, did you have music and the guitar, and did you begin picking that up as an instrument, as a way of self-expression? Because we're talking about different ways. Some people paint, some people, but this is a way of self-expression, not just as a way to try to, relieve your testosterone poisoning.
Well, at first they were like toys. Like my first instrument was the flute, and then I did saxophone a little bit, but I was, trying to be like my dad and play woodwind instruments. And I got a guitar from my older brother, Steven. He just gave up with it, and it sat around in his room until he gave it to me with his little practice amp.
Cool.
And I also had a Casio keyboard, like one of those really small kind that can be battery powered, And I even got into recording a little bit because I had a 2-input tape recorder, and I would record on one tape and then play it into the other tape recorder and then play into the second input at the same time. So it was multi-track recording, but with a lot
you
more
got into
white noise.
engineering too, right? Oh,
yeah, around like
cool.
12 years old. And it was all toys at first, the flute and saxophone, the guitar. I was just having fun with it. And then later, after puberty, I got really depressed, and then it became tools to escape and medicate and express.
Yep. Were you writing at that time? Did you begin were you doing poetry, or did you get into literature or have that as a background, Troy?
I was into writing in school. that was about the only thing I was good at other than band class. But before band, I was really into the writing class or whatever it was,
Mhm.
we did poetry all the time. Like we would just, sit there and have 40 minutes to write a poem or a story or something. I always felt like I was really good and excelling in that area. And I always got compliments, which was refreshing because all the other teachers were like, "You just ain't getting it, kid."
Hey, what are you doing there, boy? You ain't
God
living up
damn
to
it,
your
Molly.
potential. I
Yeah.
really think.
What do I have to do with you to get you through this test? It's like you just don't listen.
Did you hang out with the theater kids at all? I mean, was that part of the in your high school?
No.
Were they bifurcated? Where you had the theater kids and the music kids, the band kids, and the jocks and the. I mean, how was the society of high school, which is its own thing?
Well, I probably knew everyone from every program, but they were at different times and different locations in the school,
Mhm.
so naturally there was that division. But I never really hung out in the theater department or anything. I don't even know if my high school had one. It probably did, but I'd never seen them. I'd never gone to one of their shows or anything. But I always liked reenacting parts in films, comedy films like Dumb and Dumber. And over the years, I've just gotten more and more into the idea of acting.
Yeah,
And
I can tell that in your videos.
yeah, that's
I mean,
where I
I
kind of
can
did
tell
my
the it's just so. I mean, it's so powerful that you have that because you play a character in them.
yeah. It's like the extreme Troy. I'm always making the crazy eyes, like it's just something about my face has that it works with the eyes when I open them
Yeah,
like that,
yeah.
and it's like a deer in the headlights. It's really funny. So
So
I always
when you joined, all right. So let's see. This would have been uh in the early 2000s or the mid 2000s or to the first decade of the 2000s when you would have been 18 and all that. And you got out of high school and trouble started. So what we're talking about when you said trouble started, I'm gonna look at it in a different way, if it's all right with you. And this isn't
sure.
minimizing because I've been through my own stuff, so it's not. Please understand. We each have a life journey, and we have to come up against the things of life. And
Hmm.
I don't care whether you're a grunge band performer or you're a trash collector or you're Leonardo da Vinci. You still got to go through the same stuff. Still got to go through the process of what you're doing. So tell me a little bit about that story. How did you enter into that time, and some of that experience, so I can get some flavor of Troy Moore?
As soon as you hit puberty and all the depression starts coming with the wacky hormonal
Mhm.
imbalances,
Oh man,
that's when the
those swings that we get
yeah,
in that. Oh my God.
I had those before, but it just got way worse. I used to be bipolar, like as a young child. I would always say that if I had a good week, it was gonna be followed by a bad one. It was always
Hmm.
a seesaw like that. But into my teens, it just got way darker, and these demons started appearing everywhere. And that's essential to everyone's life. You have to go through that dark period.
Yeah, I
And
believe Jung calls it the shadow, right? We
yeah,
have
the
to
shadow self.
we actually have to experience and come to peace with
Yep.
that shadow self in order
And
for us
forgive
to be able to
yourself.
grow.
Yeah. Yep, the thuggies, the spooks the heads that grow out of your chest and try to poison your mind,
Yeah, yeah,
try to sabotage you. Yep. Just like in it's like the Wizard of Oz, Dorothy's trying to confront her shadow self.
yeah.
She's trying to walk the fence too early and then she falls into the sheep. And then, she her dog's taken away and she goes on a journey to walk the yellow brick road, and that's the kundalini, that's the spiral up the spinal column, the yellow brick road. You're walking to get your angel wings.
Yeah. Oh man, that is. And were you able to have some grounding during that time? Did you have mentor or good friends,
Just
or was
music.
this a solo journey that you had to
I had
you
a
had to
few
get?
friends. Yeah, I had a few, and you know, one, two in particular. One, they're both musicians, and one was just kind of flaky. It was always like do 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 do. Was very much, you know, animated all the time, and had a really nice house, and he just had everything, and was always, you know, with one beautiful girlfriend after another, and we all kind of admired him, and also despised him for that, you know, because we're sitting over here in our room with nothing in it, you know, just a guitar and an amp and a couple empty bottles of Dr. Pepper. And that dude's over there, you know, going to skating rings and stuff. And so it was mainly me and this the dude that lived down the street from me who played drums. We'd hang out. And he was kind of the Kurt Cobain type, you know, just
Yeah.
full of angst and pissed off about life, smoking Newports, and you
Oh,
know,
you got to smoke Newport.
yeah.
Got to smoke Newport. Are you kidding me?
And yeah, and we met this guy Justin, and he'd get alcohol for us and stuff because he was older. So that was like always a thing. Let's get a 40 ounce of beer, you know. And we just wasted years and years doing that, just walking around Douglasville with nothing to do, and listening to music. And when we got cars, that was fun, but also very dangerous. You know, went through some crazy experiences with those.
God, the things that I survived that I look back on and I go, oh my God, I made it through that.
It was
So what
fate
did you
that you made it
learn when
through.
you can
Yeah.
look back on it now, Troy? And you look back on it now and you say, okay, yes, that was time when we were just trying to go, but what were the little planting of the evolution that are getting you to that, to getting you to recovery, getting you to the point of where we are in a, when we were able to make it past from going over the cliff?
So it all led up to this point, you know, recently in my life where my dad died, and I had a really beautiful girlfriend, and she went to Florida, and everything just, you know, crapped out.
Mhm.
And it all led up to that, and this drug that I got on, it was horrible, and it took 7 years to get off of it. And it was that drug and that experience of having no control over myself. I mean, I had control, or at least a sense of it, but I kept on falling back into the same thing. And then I realized afterwards that there was no reason to hate myself for that, that it
Oh,
was all part of a learning experience that I was destined to go through. And that was my yellow brick road. And what pulled me out of it was logging onto Facebook one day and having an invite to the Kimono website. And I did one live video, and then I didn't do anything with it for another year. But it was a year later when I jumped back on it at the beginning of the pandemic. That's when things started to take off. Saw Renee on there, and I was just like, my God, this woman is radiant.
isn't
And
she? I mean,
yeah,
it really is it's an extraordinary, she's extraordinary. I mean, she is like a just an extraordinarily radiant light.
indeed.
And she has that, and the neat part about it is that now at 41, she's beginning to believe it. She's, as you know, she's human like the rest of us. We're the last to know. We're the last to be able to accept our power, but she's stepping into her power, and yet we all saw it before.
Yeah, I was blinded by the light in a good way. You know, I was like, if I could
Yep.
have that kind of compassion and support towards, you know, in my direction, I might be able to get out of this slump that I'm in. And sure enough, you know, I mean, I kept on screwing up and, you know,
Don't we all? Hey,
falling off the
good luck today. I've done it 17 times today. I'm about on my 18th, so I'll do that. So let's keep working.
Yeah, you know, you just keep falling off the donkey. But I'm like 6 months clean now, or 7 actually.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
That is
it's
a big,
awesome.
let's sit with that for a second, Troy.
Yeah.
Let's just sit with that for a second, because that's not only holy, it's an opportunity for the next time for you, because one of the things that I know about you is you are a producer. You really love to create. And anything that goes back between you and creation, making those palettes, doing the next, getting the new canvas and working with that, is going to end up eating at our souls.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's the same thing with telling jokes, anything that gets a reaction out of people
Mm-hmm.
is all I'm about, and also thanks to Kimono and SDF and all the wonderful communities.
Yep.
I've met so many people and been able to work with them, and it's better, I think, than working on a song of my own. Seeing someone really benefit and just blow up with happiness after their music videos made for them, it's I think that's what life's really about. That's what the community taught me, seeing all these people perform and stream, and then seeing all the comments and how sweet people can be.
Yep.
That's what life's about. It's not about trying to pursue your own career. I mean, that's good. You got to make
But that
money,
is a
pay the
career.
bills. But
I was talking with Lars about this, and I'm talking with Lars Nagel and some of the other people that I've talked with, is that I prefer, for myself, I prefer doubles to singles. I prefer bridge to chess. I'm a collaborator. I get energy out of the fact of we are collaborating. Like you and I are co-creating this conversation right now. This isn't an interview, as we talked about at the beginning. This is a co-creation, and that is what lights me up. It lights me up, and I love what you said about people, because we end up looking at the only at the things that aren't working, and people are wired at their DNA to collaborate, to be empathetic. It's that we get trained out of it, and then the news doesn't celebrate it, and then we begin to believe the bullshit.
It's what makes us stronger and less subservient as a mass of people, and it's vital to life, because that's what makes you feel like you're really fulfilling your function as a human being, is communicating just like the trees do with each other and everything living on this earth, because we are essentially all the same energy.
Yep.
The same person, and that in that light. And when we connect with each other, then we feel like we're getting enough air and water. And yeah, the news and all that, that they don't want that. They want us to be hooked up to a burger machine, just getting, liquid nuggets and burgers pumped into our veins, while we repeat the things we hear on TV and turn into Joeys and Chandlers and Monicas.
Sure. But the thing is that's part of our capitalistic system. And I'm a capitalist. I just believe that that we can have a bottom line that has more colors than just red and black. There can be a rainbow of colors. There can be things that we're doing for the community. Make sure that what is a good corporate citizen? How do they play well to make sure that everybody gets an opportunity to be able to get the playing field? I mean, shit. I grew up upper middle class, white male in the South. That gave me a lot of advantages. Now, it certainly hasn't been easier. I have to work just as hard, but the obstacles are different for me than they are for other people. So I want to be able to offer that to people that have not had it. Like my opportunities for therapy, my opportunities for healing, my opportunities for an enriched life. Let's get those things out there. Let's make sure that we can do that part of it. We can do that through the internet, through the different ways. We can find ways to show people that we have these opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of bad that comes from it, but a lot more good,
Damn
Like,
right.
sure, everyone's addicted to their phone and all, but I think at the end of the day, people just want a human connection.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And now, Troy, what's going on right now in your life? What would give me some snippets, some ideas of because from what Renee tells me and what the other people that are talking about, does it scare you to be on the precipice of having some of the success and some of the attention that you're doing? How do you prepare yourself, not pre-prepare, how do you prepare yourself for what may be the kind of attention that has taken some of the other artists in another way, because you're getting attention, you're starting to get people snapping around going, "Way," and so how do you do that, and how do you prepare mentally and spiritually for that?
I'm just letting it flow through me with no resistance. And at the same time, there's also the net of doubt over my brain that I'm ever gonna, be known worldwide or anything like that.
Yeah.
I mean,
Who
it's totally
knows, right? I
possible,
mean,
but
that
until
is,
it actually happens, my brain's like, nah, it's not gonna happen.
and whether it is or not, but still, what I'm going under the concept, Troy, of a working artist. I like the idea of a working artist. Like I feel like that we get our bills paid, we get our house, the electricity. We know that we have transportation. We have. I mean, I live like a king. I have a machine right in there. It washes clothes, and another one that dries them. Are you kidding me? I
Yeah,
piss
it's amazing.
I piss into potable water.
Oh yeah,
Are
it's
you
amazing.
kidding me? I mean, we're talking about. I live like emperors were. So it's up to me to be able to create. So we're working on the Tardan Media Network, and working on is to be able to be a working artist. Now, whether I ever get world famous or whatever, not my job. But as long as I can be a working artist, have my
Right.
bills
That's what it's
paid,
about.
have this, then whatever happens, hey, that's the lottery. That's the
Yeah,
lottery that I have
sure. Yeah.
no control over, because we see, you and I both personally know people that are as good as anybody who is super famous right now.
Yeah. And getting famous isn't always about the talent, because so many people have it. It's about being in the right place at the right time and
Yeah.
being desperate enough to push yourself over and over again, put your face in people's faces and, send your music links in and
Yep.
you know and I don't really do that a whole lot. Every once in a while I'll get a little spark of ambition and and I'll be like, hey, this is my stuff. Yeah, here you go. But I never hear anything back. But every once in a while someone will message me, like from actually one guy, Ear Candle Radio, I think they're based out of Las Vegas. They're an internet radio thing, and they were like, hey, you got any songs that we could play on our radio? And so I sent them 3, and they sure enough played them twice for each song. That was pretty cool. I doubt anyone was really paying attention, or I heard it. I mean, maybe, but I
Yeah.
don't know. In my
At this
mind, no one
moment,
heard it at all.
but you got to say, it's one of these things of at this moment, because
Yeah.
you don't know. That's the thing, is that you can't know, and you will never know when that
As long
moment
as your music
arrives.
is out there, you could get famous 20 years from now when you've given up long
Exactly.
since.
Exactly, isn't it? And that creative process, the process that you and I are creating on a daily basis, being able to continue to produce, to be as peaceful as we possibly can,
Full
knowing
of
at that
peace.
moment, here's what we're doing. All right, so what's in rough draft on your in your rough draft stage right now? What are the things, or do you? I don't know your creative process. Some people say I don't talk about anything until it's ready to go out, or sometimes you can let me in on your creative process.
So I have a Bandcamp, and on there I have not just the albums and the collaborative albums that I've done, but I have archives at the very bottom of the album list. And that starts at 2007, when I first started recording on my dad's portable Zoom recorder. And it goes all the way up to this year. And so anything that I'm currently working on, anything that I export out of my program, I put on there. So anyone could, if they were interested enough to know what I was doing currently, they could find out. You know, you just go to the 2022 album, you go all the way down to the very bottom. That last song is the last thing that I posted. And I've got everything from jams with my my drummer friend and other people, to new songs that I'm working on, to collaborations that I've done with other people. I got Fred Bowman and myself on there, 2 songs with his poetry and stuff. And I got new songs that I'm working on. I have 4, I think. And yeah, I'm just working on the new album, and each time I do something new to the track, add something new, I usually export it and upload it. That way I can listen back while at work and absorb myself in it as an observer and ask myself, what does this need? Because I can't really tell when I'm on the computer. I'm like so hyped up with adrenaline and testosterone, that I can't really tell what's going on. I'm so high on myself. I'm like, yeah, man, I'm up in here doing it.
This episode of Reasonably Spontaneous Conversations has been brought to you in part by In Search of the New Compassionate Male. For more information, go to newcompassionatemale.com.